As we have in the bottom left-hand side, our Red Terran player. This is Dragon Phoenix Gaming Cure. And in the top right, from Kaizi Gaming, Solar. So these are the two remaining Koreans in the tournament. There wasn't a ton of Koreans playing in this event, but Creator got knocked out yesterday, so did Zaun. Rogue got knocked out early on in the lower bracket. So Solar and Korea were the real kind of contenders for Korea. And, well, they find themselves facing each other. So the last Korean player standing, there's also Armani, right? Armani lost out to Vanya. So yeah, Solar and Korea, the last Korean players standing. One of them at least will move on to be the top 4 of the tournament. So this is top 6 at the moment. Prize money for top 6 sits at, I believe, $200. Win this, you guarantee $300. Win that series, $400. Win that, $500. Win that, $1,000. Hatchcast and Pool to begin with from Solar here. It is Oxide, a little bit of a Terran map is typically what we like to call this one. So with a little bit of a Terran map in mind, we'll see what Solar wants to open up with here in the series. Map is just good, a lot of ledges to utilize, only 6 bases to really be taken. That's a problem for Zergs in the later stages of the game. So in general, all stages of the game really tend towards being a little bit Terran favored on Oxide. As we will see a Marine opener, no Reaper again, this time for the TvZ. Because this series has some weight in it when it comes to OSC history as well. Cure was the last OSC champion, so he was the OSC champion last year, winning out 4-0 against Denver in the finals. And Solar is a 2-time champion, I believe the only player to have won twice. So Solar is, you know, both these players are previous OSC champions. One of them will fall here. Everybody else in their bracket that remains is yet to be an OSC champ. So we will have one new OSC champion at least guaranteed in the future. So we got these couple Marines about halfway done. Factory is building up in the main base. A tech lab on the barracks. I'm just going to be seeing the Zergling speed starting up on the top right-hand side. It's not really too much to mention. I mean, really just the fact we're still building Marines, right? And the factory not even close to the reactor, so factory's not going to do much yet. It is just essentially a 2-1-1 opening. And with the reactor first, you actually 2-1-1 goes into a few extra Marines than usual. So what happens is that you actually have a few more than 16 Marines, and that can really catch, your Zerg opponent a bit off guard. If they go for your typical 2-1-1 defense, but you show up with 4 or 5 more Marines, you know, it's a really fine cut defense. It's designed to defend 16 Marines in a medevac, not 20 Marines in a medevac, right? So if you show up with a few more Marines, the difference that can make can actually really swing things in your favor sometimes. So if this was more of a big deal when it was obviously new. Beyond was using it a lot and really popularized it, as we come to expect. And in popularizing it, it really became like, oh, right, so I just need to do this if he didn't go Reaper and it's going 2-1-1. So the Zergs did find, kind of start figuring it out. As our first Marines, first medevac, sorry, are now on the way out. So you can see we're already at 11 Marines. This is actually going to time out pretty okay, I guess, in the end, right? Just to have about 16. The Overlord does have Overlord speed. He sees how many Marines there are, so Solar also sees a tech lab on the factory, so he probably has a pretty good idea of what exactly is happening here. He will still try and bring this Overlord back in for another scout. As yeah, sorry, I take this back. This is actually just going to be 14 Marines. It's going to be a really nice timing here out of Cure. So this variation, I think maybe I'm getting my variations mixed up. Maybe the variation I'm talking a bit more about is the command center first opening. I think this variation actually does just give you the drop maybe a little bit faster because you're skipping the Reaper, but you still only have 14 Marines for it. So yeah, maybe that's the difference. So yeah, I apologize. I think I'm doing analysis on the wrong thing. Maybe we'll see that build a little bit later on. That's actually a huge kill initially. That's a supply block for Solar as he loses the first Overlord, but Cure does not push further forward. We'll just hold back. We're just going to be seeing our Ling's going to go in and start to look to clean out these rocks here in the center, so rocks will start to take some damage. Marines just backing away in the end then, so a lot of this from Kira is really just about forcing out a certain set of units and holding back a little bit of the creep spread on this right side. He's now going to have a couple tanks and another medevac to support this next wave of the attack. No third CC behind this, right? So this is still just committing to be a 2-base attack from Kira. So important to kind of get on top of that and to figure it out. Some Marines stem up, tanks are going to siege, and they're going to get picked up pretty much right away here. The few Banes are going to start making their way over. Marines are going to load up. The Ling Bane going to get there. And this just really didn't do anything at all for Kira. I mean, this is a good defense so far from Solar. Big part of this for Solar is that he's just not over-droned at any point, right? He's just been slowly getting to 60 workers. 60 is fine. It's not like he's gone crazy and gone to 70 plus. No, he's been very responsible at making sure he's always had the units needed to defend against these attacks, and that's why Kira kind of feels like he's running into a brick wall at the moment. Solar is just going to be able to shut down round after round of attacks so far. See a few more Crypt Jammers going down here, and the Ling Bane will just chase in and force the lift into medevacs. Carapace upgrade up. These Lings do tank a little bit better now against the +1 attack Marines, as Kira's going to bring another 2 medevacs across the map. Marines stemming up, the Ling Bane getting chased away. A few more Lings on the left side ready to jump into a drop a load and maybe try to see if they can make something happen. Push up the top side. Queen's in a little bit of trouble. Let's get into the mineral line, and a few SCVs being picked away at. Marine's going to unload. A little drop play does well. I mean, the big thing is it pulls units back. So it brings units back home rather than letting them continue to reinforce. And now Soul's going to get down on top of these tanks, etc. A couple of Banes don't quite make it all the way down to clean up the rest of the Marines. Solar has money to spend, though. How much lava does he have? He has a little bit, not a lot. So a lot of that money, he might just want to start. I mean, he has an extra hatchery starting now in the main base already, and he still has 1,000 minerals. Yeah, may just need that macro hatch to really come online here. Kira has a huge army supply advantage, but that won't last forever if Solar can spend the money. Also, Solar's going to get ahead on upgrades, right? +2 carapace finishing here will make quite the difference. There's some Banes forcing the lift off, and Kira once again falling back to a couple new tanks reinforcing. I love this. Once again, just Lings across the map, right? Same idea. All you have to do for this to be a success is to pull some reinforcements back. Slow down the reinforcing route. And if you slow down these reinforcements, you're already doing a good job. You're buying yourself more time for more Banelings and a better successful setup defensively when you commit through to the defense. So here we go. Lings into the main once again. This time Marines are a little bit faster at dealing with it, right? Once you've used the trick once, the second time around it becomes that little bit easier to really get on top of it and figure it out. As our tanks begin to siege over the right-hand side, a few of these Lings and Banes already going down. A lot of Lings going down here, so it's a good fight from Kira to start. Really playing this position on the far right, as he is quite hard set on, well, 1-1 upgrades in this push. He does have a third CC landed, but he's not even really mining from it just yet. He'll start to put SCVs there soon. There's 10 minutes in the game, and the third is essentially just not mining still. So again, it's still really committed, as now we've got a Ling Bane counterattack, and that's bad. The depots will load, so the Banes are able to just come crashing through on top of Marines right away. A couple of Lings on top of the tank here. Marines on the low ground going down. SCVs are falling. Kira is now going to be under some heavy pressure to make something happen here. All of his reinforcing tanks just got shut down as well. The only problem is for Solar is that this position is deeply entrenched on his side of the map, and it's not going to be easily broken. Tanks behind mineral lines, you know, Liberators are sieged up, making plays up in toward the main, so you've got that awkward split to deal with. Yeah, Solar just doesn't want to deal with it, so he's just going to go across the map, and okay, one tank up into the main base is going to be nice, but the Lings are just going to pull away and clean out the mineral line on the natural, so the entire SCV line will fall. And Kira is just not doing enough, fast enough on this top side. And this aggressive way of playing to follow up the 2-1-1 has just not worked out so far for Kira. And that means that Solar is likely to pick to win Kira's map pick. And that's obviously a fantastic way to start this series, as we're going to be seeing stream it in. Queens are here, the Hydras are here, the Libera is going to get shut down. And a decent enough trade from Solar. Well, a few more units on the way. He builds a new spawning pool already, preparing for the loss of this one, just because it is on the outskirts of the base. And it is where the Terran player is really focusing a lot of his pressure and a lot of the attacks. So good forward thinking there, at least from Solar, as Lingbane comes in. The Hydras get here as well. The tanks on the low ground starting to go down. Queen's going to trade out some transfusions with each other and pull back up to the top as another Liberator sieging. Some medevacs are going to unload in the corner here, and once again, Queens, Hydras starting to move through. They're going to jump on top of these medevacs right away. Everything continuing to be cleaned out here as Marines showing up as well. The Queens and the Hydras do end up backing off. So now we're going to make our way for Skewer around in a bit of a different direction. Army supplies are still within 10, but it's also 2-2 upgrades from Solar versus 1-1, so that's going to offset that difference just a little bit further. As Lingbane and Hydra are going to start streaming through, going to start looking to get us around on this, looking for grab those Marines. Yeah, I mean, Marines obviously run off creep, but he cleaned up the tanks at least. Reinforcements are running across on creep as well, by the way. Yeah, Kira realizes that, so he's going to fix it, pull it back, and try and gather everything up together again. Just a little bit more properly. Queen Bane on that top side. Lings are still running around and catching Marines, catching a depot or two. There goes the Marine medevac tank. Right to the right, gonna scan down on top of this, and Kira's just gonna attack GG. He realizes that his army doesn't have the splash damage to really deal with everything now of Solar. So that's gonna be game. Solar gonna win game 1, wins on Oxide, and that's a great. Hey, thank you so much, by the way. Sorry, I've not been good with shoutouts today, but Bralus Rex with the 22-month resub. Only resub of the day for the first couple hours. Thank you so much. As we go to the top left-hand side, up 1-0, our red Zerg player from Kaizi Gaming. It is Solar. Who takes on the blue Terran bottom right, Cure. And finally, finishing up in the main base, so we'll see where our build takes us this time around. That's done on the natural hatch gas and pool coming up. Once again, just going to be a Marine into factory, into reactor. So no Reaper once again here from Kyo. We'll see what he has planned here then for game number 2. Prepared to finish this on the racks. Couple Marines coming through, and just going to be seeing a single Hellion from Cure. We've seen a build recently where I think Hero Marine, right? This week was using a couple of Marine drop when you build 2 Hellions, then you do the swap over thing. We'll see if maybe that is going to look a bit like this, or I mean, it's still going to be more Marines. So for the moment, just 1 Hellion. There is the second. So yeah, if this is going to be what I'm talking about, it should be a medevac next from Cure. And that will give him the option to go lifting 8 Marines across the map. And then you go into Hellion production, and I think Banshee's behind it as well. So after Hellion 2 here, you go Tech Lab on the factory. And again, you play from there with the starport onto that Tech Lab into Cloak Banshee. That's the follow-up I've seen, at least, unless it's going to be some weird variant. There's the Tech Lab on the factory to begin with. So I'm not sure if Hero Marine was the first to do this, but he is the first. I only really saw this build for the first time a couple days ago. I was casting ESL Open Cup number 51 finals. Hero Marine versus Reynol. It's my most recent upload on YouTube if you want to check it out. youtube.com/WardiTV. And yeah, it's kind of a weird build, which I feel like more than anything, Zergs just haven't quite gotten figured out yet. Right, it's definitely one of those builds which is like, what the heck is this? Like, what am I seeing? Like, why are there 8 Marines? And then why do I, then suddenly there's Hellions, and you're like, huh? Overlord speed will allow you to scout everything. So at least Solo will go into this with full knowledge of exactly what's up. And there are lings there initially to put these Marines down. So, yeah, good shutdown initially from Solo, moving his units in the right places and doing a good job of this. As you're just going to see a few more Marines unload now down on the low ground here. A couple of Hellions out on the left. So far, so good. Good defense from Solo then. Not really giving Q any options at all when it comes to trying to break through. Out on the left, a few Hellions gathered together. Just going to see the Baneling Nest coming in on the natural. As, again, so far with Solo having such a good opener. Next step is really just defending against the Banshees, making sure they don't do much, and then you really are primed for a great position here. It's going to be a Hellbat attack as well with this armory finishing shortly. Hellions morphing into Hellbats and pressing forward. We're going to be having a couple of creep tumors that will be shut down pretty quick. Army of Cure back in toward the center of the map, and 2 Banshees up to the top. They're going to gather together and try and make their way up into the main base as well. Just trying to make a little bit of progress there. The Hellions of Cure are going to come around the left-hand side, and they are looking to try and make their way in on top of the Queens. Well, Banshee's doing well. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 workers. Well, what did I say you needed to do is not lose all your drones to... Sorry, it says Solo, don't lose your drones to the Banshees, just defend those and you're in a great spot. Now you lose your drones to the Banshees and life just becomes that much more difficult. A Dropper-Lord on the way from Solo, by the way. He does have Overlord speed. Where is that Dropper-Lord? It is here. Is he gonna bring the Queens across the map and go for like a Ling Bane Queen all in? Oh, so he's got a few Roaches as well. God damn it, when did they come out? I feel like I just did not. Apparently, I just refused to see those on the production tab. Okay, this is gonna be really interesting. So this is gonna turn into this big push across the map here from Solo, but I'm not 100% certain it's necessarily that good, right? Because there is an armory done, which means these Hellions can be Hellbats, and even just the tankiness that those Hellbats bring to the table can be something that really slows the rest of this down. Does Kira remember that he's got an armory? Because, like... Okay, yes, he does. I was going to say, it feels like he's just not doing anything with the Hellions. And like I say, they definitely will be better off as Hellbats than anything else. The Banes are kind of in a weird spot. Do they go in and try and help clean up the Hellbats, or do they wait for the Hellbats to be cleaned out so they can go in for the Marines? Like, it's almost like there's no good option there, as Kira is going to get himself supply blocked as he loses depots in the front lines. He lifts up the natural CC, floats it away. Still is obviously not really committed into the army just yet. There's a tank high ground that Kira has to be really reliant on to really clean this up, right? I mean, he needs that tank. And he's having trouble finding a good position to put it. He's going to try and switch it over to the other side of the kind of the other side of the high grounds. And those Ravagers are just going to continue to pick off depots, and their position behind this natural is kind of dangerous because the engineering bays are there as well. I'd be surprised if they want to commit deeply enough so that the engineering bays really, you know, become under threat. Solo's just going to pull the trigger. He's going to go for this. He's going to let the Banes waddle forward, and yeah, in the end, just going to get pushed away. But the damage is really done. This is a huge amount of time where Secure is just not being mining from a natural. So Solo, he starts up upgrades. He will be behind in those from earlier. Right, Medevac joining over on that right side. We'll bring the Spore Crawler up to the front. I mean, so yeah, it's kind of interesting because I feel like Solo gets actually a really good amount done. You know, you really do delay the natural from mining for a long time. The income advantage goes massively in your favor for a little bit. The problem really is just the fact that I think a big problem, just upgrades are then going to be very late for Solo. This is okay. This is a Bioforce you can fight. I like this drop load now being used for some link drops again. That was kind of effective in the first game. Even if it's not as effective this time around, I still like it. Just as a way to keep up some extra pressure, etc. Marines come out, just going to see the Overlord being pushed back. So he's got a little bit of a wrap around. Marine's going to have to load back up into the bio, and on the top side, a little bit of a Bioforce pushing in as well. So here really using his multitasking, especially while he has an upgrade lead. Using it well, using it in his favor. Spore Crawler and Group Jimmy going down. Better Ling Bane trying to move forward, and good target fire on the first Bane, and the rest of the Banes just don't get there in time. Solo just dancing around the map to defend as he goes up into Hive Tech. Again, what about 2-2 upgrades though, Solo? You know, 2-2s and, you know, upgrades are the kind of thing that you just need to keep on top of. Otherwise, this game is going to slip away from you very quickly. Tanking the bottom right, Lings are going to come down, surround the Marine Marauder, and the Medevac's going to have to lift up and back away. Let's see a Marine tank push a Q up that right hand side, coming up to the top. Few Ravagers get them, Marines get chased back. Bane run by finds 8 SCVs. A little Bane drop, actually. So let's see how Ravager Bane setting up a little bit. Big counterattack coming across. Slings, Banes continue to come on through. SCVs are going to be in some trouble, and that's actually going to be a huge counterattack. That's in some trouble, but I mean, you've just killed so much on this counter. This Ling Bane has been extremely successful going across this other side. It's 40 workers die. Like, Kira has no economy left. Like, absolutely none. Coming through, a couple of depots continuing to drop. We do have the hatchery in the bottom left corner. So Solar is going to get a fourth base back up, and that's the issue for Kira, just having to rotate somewhere else to make another play. T2 upgrade's about to kick in for Solar as well, so he's going to catch up there. And then you've got yourself the Ultras cabin on the way up as well. If you can get a couple Ultras out, just to break the momentum a little bit of the Terran, I think you've got this one under control. Ravagers, Lings, Bane setting up. The Bio Army still stemming forward. The SCV is being picked away at, and just going to be seeing the Marine tank on the bottom, just trying to reinforce now. So finding a chance to move across the map. Still has a massive concave ready to come in, and I'm kind of scared for Kyo to move across the map with reinforcements too, because I feel like this Ling Bane force is just ready to grab it the second it moves through, which is definitely a problem. And he's going to just go under attack with this group of Ling Bane. And I don't mind. He's going to get rid of the tanks. I actually think that is good to stop this ever coming across. And Banes are still hunting for Marines. They actually get a pretty decent connection. They will just go for a little bit extra damage. The Orbital's having to lift off while burning down. This army's just not going anywhere. Where is it meant to go to? You can't exactly just suddenly be like, oh, yeah, I'm just going to push up this ramp now. His plane's over halfway done. It is time to get a couple of ultras into the fight soon. So here you go. We're going to actually see these Banes starting to roll forward. That's not a good fight from Sol. He's going to take a lot of damage from it. Problem is, I guess Solo doesn't really have a good direction to flank in from, right? This bottom side is off creep. He does catch a few Marines reinforced from that side. The Viper blinding clouds are huge. I mean, now you're going to get on top of the tanks without taking all that splash damage, and that should just be the deal breaker. There's a lot of Marines left over. The Ultras actually don't have kindness for a few more seconds, so he needs that to finish up to really power up the defense on those Ultras and to really make them a little bit more viable. That's an OV, another couple OVs going down. Here come the Ultras through this bottom side, looking to make the play. Medevac's just going to lift up and take them out over here. Good, going to type GG. Solo takes the 2-0 lead as we continue through this OSC Championship brackets. Hero looking down to 2. Cure just can't really get himself going. Last year's champion might be about to fall to the 2-time champion. Solo up 2-0. Romanticide map 3 whenever we are able to resume hosting. To kick this off in the bottom right hand side, our blue Zerg player, this is Solar, finally got into the game. He leads 2-0 in this best of 5. Cure needs 3 in a row to keep his OSC Championship run alive here today. Patrick coming in on the natural, just going to see the Overlord flying around the top side and setting this up. People on the way. Just gonna see the SCV moving down the bottom side. The thing is, Q is playing a very aggressive. I know he got all in last time, but it came from him playing a very aggressive style of Terran as well. That Marine drop, the Hellion Banshee follow-up. I know he got all in after, but he's really trying to bring the pressure, and I really feel like a lot of the initial pressure from Solar is being deflected very early. So, you know, Solar's really shutting it down. I think SCV will go Running away. The Reaper Cure coming down the bottom right. Wings, Reaper going back and forth a little bit. It goes down. Queen gets picked away at. He's just nibbling away at the plates right now. So Play's going to be taking some damage, going down very soon. Queen out the front from Solar. And, yeah, just waiting to see what the build's going to be. A 3cc from Q, so something a little bit more kind of just fully macro-focused this time around. So we're going to finish up, and it's going to swap over to the tech lab, and that's no surprise either, right? The idea of moving into a Banshee just defensively to play against anything that might come out of this Zerg while you're trying to play 3cc. Keeping a couple of Hellions up through the top side. Overlord of Solar hanging around in the center, another Overlord heading up to the top as well, trying to see what's going on, and it's going to see our Marines getting set to go. Banshee, Cloak coming through. Lara's building in the main base. Our Hellions out around to the left. Hellions and the Reaper just hanging around on the edge of the creep then. There's going to be an armory behind it. We've seen this 3cc kind of Hellbat attacks really creep up the last month or so, and something which, we'll see how it plays out. I think more than anything else, we do just have the Hellions and Reaper hanging out in the center. Just holding the middle of the map for the moment. There's a couple of extra racks coming through, so ready for the bio follow-up. This is the thing, right? You're like, it feels weird because you're progressing so well. You know, your barracks are on the way, your stim's starting and all of this, and you're about to morph in Hellbats and go for a fight. It's such a weird kind of like juxtaposition of points of the game. Planes will move to the right-hand side. A couple of crew teamers in the front. Something to watch out for. These Banshees have opportunity to kill drones from this high ground. That's what they will start to do, and then coverage in the main base is pretty good. Double spore there. Banes are going to roll forward, though, and okay, well, the Hellbat split was good initially. The Banes do not want to commit unless they can get multiple Hellbats on their connection, and that works as well. Forcing the Hellbats that far back gives the Queens time to come forward here and to defend. I mean, just trying this multi-prong, but Solar, again, has been pretty good defensively so far today. Another couple of Banes connecting in. More Banes morphing. There's not a lot of them, though, and 2, 3 of them cancelled already. The next 3 are right there as well, so they're going to get cancelled too. Solar could really do is just morph these a bit further back. He'd really do is just find a way to shut this down. He's actually going to try and catch the new Hellions. It's actually kind of bad, right? If these Hellions don't get a chance to morph in a Hellbat, they don't get cleaned up already. 11 drones going down. The Banshee's having a good time before the Queens figured them out over on the left-hand side there. Ling's still streaming through and now trying to catch this as well, but I feel like Solar just lost too much. He's lost 14 drones. The Hellbats are really just slaying a whole bunch of Lings so far. Can't believe 14 workers went down here. Alright, well, Kira gets rid of a creep tumor. Marine Hellbat force falling back to the upper left-hand side. A few Queens still gathering up, and the creep tumors Going out the left, drone going to come down to the bottom side, get that 6 o'clock up and running. And again, Marines, Hellbats, getting ready to push this through the center toward the bottom right corner as depot set up over the far right side. And here you go, Marines, Hellbats, all of this getting set to roll. As we are going to be seeing the 1-1 upgrades with the vehicle plating and the combat shields all coming up. Mutas going to fly in, SCV going to go down, Marines are going to try and jump down on toward those Mutas. Widowmine's going to connect. Okay, I mean, might just be time to roll into game 4, Solar. This game is absolutely not going your way. There's actually just nothing good. The only good thing about this right now is that he's got Bane speed finally, so this fight should at least go a bit better than what we've been seeing so far. And even then, it's just Hellbats trading out for Banelings, which is generally just completely fine. Marines and Mines over the left-hand side. Baneling going to get cleaned up in the mineral line here. Again, the rest of the Lingbane Muta just moving out to the left. Bio forces of Q coming around. A couple of turrets setting up in the forward base as well. Planetary Fortress already beginning to morph in. And here comes this army of Solar to move through. Widowmine shots already lining up. And Solar's going to need some real plays to get himself back into this one. He's going to need some really good run-bys, etc. The fact that the Terrans is already up on 4 bases, though, right, is kind of just terrifying. You know, there is no slowing down Cure at the moment. Banes crash in and go for the Marines. The rest of the Banes continue to roll into this. Things get around, Thor goes down, and that's just going to be game. Scylla does not have enough. He tried to jump on the army, did not find success, and Kira is going to take game 3. Okay, well, that's one way to start getting for the raids. And welcome. Obviously, I know you guys were just out there watching a Showtime Christiana series. That's what I was just talking about. That just wrapped up. And so the winner of that will play, Showtime will play the winner of this. It's currently a 2-1 scoreline, and down in the series is going to be the Blue Terran player Kua, who is at least fighting back. It did kind of look after games 1 and 2 like this might just be a clean sweep. Everything Kyo was trying to do was just shut down ahead of time, and there was just no real success story for him at all. But he got there in the end. The Hellbat attack was difficult and to deal with, and did find a lot of success. And that's why Solo was able to... I was not able to capitalize on anything happening in Game 3, and hence did lose out. And here we are, ready for game number 4. Here we are. After all of that. Spawn pool down in the bottom right, so hatch gas pool getting set up. Command center of Cure on the way through. As we do have our Reapers about halfway along at the moment. Reaper going to make its way down, so we are going to see Reaper opening, which is obviously something we haven't seen every game so far, which is actually worth mentioning, I suppose. He was able to grab a Ling. I'm just going to see a drone actually in some serious trouble. 2 drones in trouble, and doing pretty well there. Pretty nice Reaper to start. Ling and a drone going down. Reaper backing away, factory finishes up, and the reactor about to finish on the barracks as well. So far so good. Starport is on the way as well as the factory goes to the reactor. Barracks is going to move off a bit, so this time will just be some pretty regular Hellions to once again just support a third CC, which comes up early. Luke, you were obviously saying, well, you know what, third CC worked pretty well for me last game. It wasn't really so much a 3CC build, right? It was the Hellbat follow-up, but the 3CC was a part of it, and we'll go toward that to see what might happen as we do have the orbital hanging up to the top side. Overlord speed is going to be finishing in just a few moments alongside Link speed as well. So they're really just continuing to build Overlord speed throughout this series. Wants to know everything that's going on from Cure. Really does not want to be caught off guard, and actually really gives him some aggressive options with the Ling drops and stuff as well, which he has been utilizing. We're going to cover Hellions out in the center. Banshee and the Cloak just on the way up from Kira. I'm just going to be seeing that Roach roaring off Solar. And the natural expansions, again, that up and running. As you will see the Lava Solar just building up in the main base. Again, that ready to go as our Hellions moving on around. And yeah, so far so good. The Hellions just joining up together. Armory is about halfway along from Kira and just going to be seeing the same build as last time, right? We're going to go into the potential of Hellbats as you get set up into Stim, you get extra racks down. This time Solo going to have that lair coming up already, so you'll be finishing that in the aim to go into a faster Spire here. Or just Roach speed, as he has got a Roach roaring up early this time. Actually building a bunch of Roaches initially. Sorry, I am completely wrong. It's going to be the taxi again, right? It's going to be the same as what he did back on Lightshade. I'm completely off with my call. Only 3 gases as well. It was never going to be spy. Why can I not see Roaches on the production tab? Like, for some reason, I feel like I'm just blind to Roach production today. Like, this is the second guy. This is the exact same as last time. I just completely missed these Roaches on production. And now he's got Roaches set up against the Hellbats, and then it's going to follow up into an all-in after you lose these Hellbats to the Roaches. Yeah, that's not pretty. Roach is going to go chasing them down, and the Hellbats are not exactly going to be able to make much of an opportunity for themselves to get into some better positions or anything here, right? Like, they try and turn to jump on top of the Roaches, but that doesn't go too well, and at the same time, the Lings are looking for a surround over here. Extra Lings just showed up, and there's enough of them to take this surround and to shut down the reinforcements already now. Remember that the Dropper Lord is coming with the Queens. And there's just not really any units out at the moment for Kua, right? All the units are these Marines and Hellbats, which Roaches are chasing down. This is problematic to say the least, as yeah, the Hellbats show up. The Lings had to back away from the Warlock, but these Hellbats are still kind of locked out of their base. Now the Ling is going to jump in. If there's only 2 Hellbats there, they can survive that amount of splash damage. And we're just waiting on a siege tank to finish up. There's going to be 1 siege tank to try and save the day. Ravages are already going to be here, so Corrosive Files available. I'm kind of shocked to see the first Files not going in a bit close towards that siege tank. So that would have been the plan, 3 Ravages to make the play onto that tank, especially because it's slow ground. This is absolutely a world in which you can get the Ravages in range and battle that tank down. So kind of shocked to see that as we see the Spire coming up on the follow-up now. Couple Files to kick us off, and a depot or 2 taking some hits. I am genuinely shocked. I really feel like there was an opportunity there for Soul to go forward and to really kind of make some progress. You know what else is a real opportunity? This tech lab, right? That can be corrosive filed down. That's not safe in the slightest. So you can get rid of combat shields here, and that's what Soul is going to recognize. The opportunity now just to clean that out, and that's exactly what will happen. So combat shields goes down. Cleaned out. A few Queens going to load up and pull back away over to the right-hand side now instead. All of the Ling Ravager pulling back down to the south. As our Marine tank comes out the front, Free Queen's unloading to the right side. That's Creep Tumors blocking the 3rd CC. Or the 4th CC, I guess. The Queen's still over here then, so the Queen's just hanging around. The Marines are going to try and shut this down again. They push the Overlord away. The Creep Tumor goes down once more. Nice attempts from Solar. I will still stand by the fact that I think there was more opportunity, more potential there. Marines going in after the Overseer contaminate on an engineering bay. Medevac's lifting up and pulling away to the upper side. Solar will at least defend the follow-up attack. The play is going to be 1-1 on each side of this. Just fly up and a few SCVs picked off. Marines taking some damage. Full Marines of Kia moving back through the center. And Solo's Lingbane Ravager going to move around the right side. It's not really doing much. Obviously, he made his way to that Spire. Just switched towards melee upgrades and just kind of Lingbane in full, right? So, giving up on, didn't go following up onto roaches. So there's a lot of people when they open with something like this would like to actually still play a lot of roaches into the next stage of the game, but that's absolutely not the case here. We're just going to go for the rocks on the left-hand side. We're just moving around at the moment. Langsam is going to knock down the rocks and just going to be seeing a few Marines and Medevacs out on the right. Yeah, I've got Overlords continue to push their way out over to the far left side. Goes up through the center, looking to see where they can get to. The thing is, I feel like Solo behind all of this is just sat on 90 drones and taking bases, right? And yeah, okay, Q gets to 4 bases, and that's nice, but it's time to start doing stuff. If you don't start taking down bases and taking control and shutting down creep, this is a game that just gets out of hand in the Zerg's favor, right? Where they just get too much economy, they can just throw units at you. And yeah, they might trade badly, but they just have the money to trade badly and to get away with it. He's going to fly in and just going to grab 1 and 2 siege tanks to begin with here. The few Marines going to turn around and try to fight this. Here we go. Ling Bing going to start running through, jumping in on these tanks. Ian's going to go through and, well, I mean, Solar just pulled the trigger. I mean, this was not a bad trade for Solar. I'm talking about him, throwing units at the Terran and playing bad, trading badly, but it's okay. He rebuilds 102 Zerglings, by the way. Talk about how much he's just been able to bank up. This wasn't actually a bad fight. Like, the Bane's connected. This was okay. He just canceled up this base on the right side. But he already has the new base on the left instead, and he's already on 5 bases. This is the 6th base that he's fighting for, so it's not immediately an immediate necessity to actually get the 6th base up and running. It is just a nice addition if you can get that. So he maxed out one more time. The next round of max out will involve ultras as well. And there's not really any progress in the Terran army to deal with that. The main progress right now is adding Marauders in. He's actually continuing to add quite a few Thors, which I didn't necessarily think was a requirement at the moment. It's not like the Mutalisk count is super out of control or anything. Maybe if there was more Mutalisks, I would be like, yeah, okay, sure, but it's not really the case just yet. Now, in these scenarios, I guess, when they're back at home defensively, but that's not really what you want to be building Thors for. You're not going to build Thors and be like, oh, good, they saved me against the counterattack, right? Like, you know, then they're not really being used the way they want to be, as that was close to being a successful set of Banelings that maybe could have continued through on top of all those Marines. Marines still showing up, that hatchery going down, the rest of the Ling Bane gathers in the bottom left, the left-hand side, and just threatening the potential run-by. I do feel like it's been quite easy for Kure to get the 5th base up, though. And that's something which I feel like Solar might regret, not being able to slow that 5th base down more. That's the sort of base where you would expect him to have had more run-by potential, etc. He's been putting a lot of his run-by potential on the left side, but because the units have just been there for so long, it's just been unsuccessful. Now would be a great time to go for it. Obviously, everything's fallen over to the left from the Terran. Solar recognized that. Well, for a moment, it looked like he was trying to set up for it, but now doesn't go for it. Pulls back toward this army, which is actually just on top of this base, so he's going to lose this. In that case, he probably wants to expand over here, which he already lines up, and he's actually just going to counterattack. So he will launch the counter. As Kure starts to pull back, the Bio army will get in on top of an Ultra here. Banes are rolling through, avoids the Widowmine shots. I mean, just the start of this counterattack not deadly. So picking off a couple of the orbitals that might actually help you to really secure some economy later in this game. The Banes just kept crashing in there. Absolutely non-stop as middling Bane up on this top side. Meters are going to try and target down some more of these Medivacs, and Medivacs continue to fall. Lings are going to come back around, and they're going to start to force the Thors to be picked up. So the Thor's going to go diving around elsewhere, but they are starting to drop too, and does Kure have a way to shut down this pressure? I mean, if you can't get control of this base and control of this army, you will just die. Your reinforcements will just be killed as they come out. 5 more Ultras on the way out from Solar, who's also got the gas to morph in Banes, which he hasn't had a chance to do just yet. He'll start to morph those now. Finally, we see a Ghost Academy coming in from Kure. That's something which is going to be necessary as extra Ultras come onto the field. Solar cancels a bunch of the Banes and will just pull back and morph them further away, recognizing that he morphed them just a little bit too close for comfort there. Terran was really getting right on top of them and starting to deny a bunch, so just pulling back and morphing elsewhere, making sure he has them for when he actually needs to take a fight. Still about 4k down on the resources lost. I mean, if the Terran keeps taking bases, that's the biggest part of this, right? Solar's never really delivered a strike to the economy. He shut down a couple of excess orbitals, but he's not shut down SCV counts. And that's one thing you might be looking to really do with this attack in now. Deny this command center, but actually Bane's just rolling at this space would be amazing. Shut down the SCVs there, and I feel like that almost is just kind of on the list of things that you need to get done with this. Otherwise, Solar might just never be able to deal with how much the Terran can build with the way that he's currently trading. It's still about that 3,000 to 4,000 resource loss difference. And again, if you look at the income, Solar's barely mining that much more than the Terran player now, so this is becoming more of a problem as the Bio are going to capitalize and get a few more extra kills. Just a couple of the Banelings as they get away for the most part. But I'm just going to connect on the meter. I'm just going to be seeing this command center of Kure coming forward as well, and just going to be having Ling Bane Ultra moving through. Going to go rolling towards the Bio forces. The couple of Widow Mines getting cleaned out. Ling's jumping down top of the Thor. Bane's still rolling at the Bio army, and a lot of the Bio getting cleaned up here as Solar gets a really good catch. I mean, just hit from a couple angles, and Kure couldn't get away from this one. Now reinforcements are running into Ultras. That ain't pretty. And these Ultras are just continuing to play cleanup as Ramirez forced this base back as well. Huge moment there, as Sola's also going to be able to get the left side base up and running. He does lose some drones. Wouldn't mind setting up. And getting into that mineral line. 130 supply of cure as he starts to push back a little bit, finding the queen that's out in the middle of nowhere. He scans to the left, sees that Sola's about to have this base back up. Sola's going to find the planetary morphing in the top left, and would like to try and slow that down if at all possible. He gets on top of it. He was a little bit indecisive. He didn't actually expect there to be a base there right away. He is going to force the lift off, which stops the planetary morphing, which is big, of course. Widowmine's hurting the Terran play a little bit. Friendly fire is definitely a big issue in this. And the Ultra's trying to lead the charge up onto the main army. There's more Lings coming through. There's not any real Banelings here, right? There's 6, 7, a few more starting to arrive from different directions. Just clean out Widowmines on the left, and Sola just going to pull back over the right-hand side with everything. Now Bioforce Acure. Coming across to try and play catch-up. The Mutas dive in, and Widowmine Nelly goes down. Not quite, though. Now Bio Army going to jump on and clean up those rocks. Extra Baneling still morphing. Out over on the right side. Gets one of the Widowmines here. The rest of the Marine Marauder still moving around, and just going to see the Lingbane Ultra ready to run in from again. Just a couple different angles with the Mutas overhead as well. Here we go. Lings, Ultras, Banelings, Mutalisks. Another round of attack. Overseer's tanking some of the initial Widowmine shots to just help Sola push on through. Mutas just going to busy themselves with the orbital command, letting the Banes roll at Marines. There's an Ultra to join in with that as well as we continue up to the top side. That Orbital goes down, and everything up here is basically chased down as well. There's really not much left. GG from Q as Sola wins a 20-minute game on Death Aura. Apparently that's just the state of the gamers right now. Nice long games here today on our final day of the OSC Championship 2021.